Okay, so this is lab 1, or sorry, this is lab 2, and what it's about is learning how to take our raw data, which we talked about earlier, as it's not very clear to people, what the data represents. So displaying it as a frequency distribution, and also as graphs, as a histogram and a frequency polygon, so it's clearer for people to see what's going on with the data. So what we're going to do is first we're going to look at the purpose, and that's going to be to provide an introduction to Excel functions and procedures that can be used to form and display frequency distributions. Also provide an introduction to Excel's graphics capabilities, which are very cool, and identify displays that are more likely to provide insight. So first, if you go to page 4 of the lab, you'll see in column A, you'll see the herb height and all the data listed there. Starts with 18, 20, 18, goes down to 7. So go ahead and click on A1, type in herb height, and then go down, give it a little space, and then go down and start typing in your data. So just type in 18, hit enter, and type in the next one. Okay, and just double check, make sure your data is all correct. And that looks good. Okay, next, we're going to create upper class limits. So go down a couple here and just type in bins. Excel calls them bins, and type in the upper limits we're giving you, which are 11, 16, 21, 26, 31, and 36. And remember, these are, Excel doesn't put gaps between their data, so basically they're in inches, which is something we measure, so we know that's continuous data. So since it's continuous data and everything is in inches, we assume, or we must know, that these people have measured, and they only have measuring abilities to the closest inch. Which means, for example, between the bin that ends with 11 and 16, if they measure an herb and it's 11.5 inches, everything that's 11.5 inches and below, on the little measuring thing, they'll look at that and say, oh, it's closer to 11, so they'll put that at 11. Everything that's above 11.5 inches, they'll say, oh, that is closest to 12, so they'll put it at 12. Because it's continuous and they can only measure to the nearest inch on their measuring device. So just remember, if something's you measure, it has to be continuous data. So we're going to take a look and go to input. Okay, so now we're going to open up a data analysis package. So if you go to data over here and you don't see the data analysis package, I have it over here, but if you don't see it, go to File, Options, and Add-ins, and then down here at the bottom where it says Manage, it should be on Excel Add-ins. If not, put it on that, and then go to Go. And this one right here, the Analysis Tool Pack, should be checked. Make sure it's checked. If not, check it. Hit OK, and then this data analysis package will be over there. If you're using one of the computers on campus, most of those they clear every night, and so often they reset those, and the data analysis package will have to be added every time. So you should get used to knowing how to do that, because it'll come up a lot. So click on data analysis, and we're going to select histogram, because in order to make a histogram you have to have a frequency distribution, so that's kind of how it starts. Input range, so when you're right in this spot you'll see this cursor blinking in input range. You can right away left click on the beginning of your data, hold it down and drag it down to select your whole area, and then you'll see it popping in there, A3 to A21. Go down to bin range, just click on that, and then go ahead and I'm going to cursor down here a little bit so I can see it all. And notice my cursor's still, make sure your cursor's still in the bin range, blinking there. And then left click on that, drag down and grab all that. Great. Select the output range. So click on output range. Just click, press that button, and then I'm going to click on this spot here, and then I'm going to click on this one here. And actually, it looks like maybe I can just hit that button next to it. So I'm just going to hit where I want, and that's going to tell me tell it where I want it to start. And that seems like a good spot. Oh, maybe we'll start it right here. That seems okay. So that you're right next to the bins. And then just hit OK, and hopefully something good will happen. Great. So you'll see where it puts in the bin and the frequency. So bin is really its way of saying the upper class limit. So those are upper class limits, which means everything below 11 will be counted in this bin. Everything above 11 up to 16 will be counted in this class right here. Everything above 16 up to 21 will be here. And everything above 21, which would be 22 to 26, would be here. And then 27 to 31 will be here. And 32 through 36 will be right here. And then everything above, more, will be down here, which of course there are none. And then over here, it's counted up our frequencies for us. So that's great. Create a table showing the following columns. So let's go up top here. And if you look kind of over on that page, it kind of tells you, kind of shows you kind of a good spot to put it. So maybe start in column D, even with 18, that seems good. Type in class. Really want to do it like that? Well, type in the following things: class name, and then arrow over to the next one. And then class upper limit, and then class midpoints, and then frequencies. And relative frequencies. And I want to make these bigger, so I'm going to go up here, remember up where I get that, between D and E, when I get that little dark line with the two arrows going both directions, then I can hold down my left mouse and drag it over. So I'll just make these a little bit bigger so that I can, ooh, or better yet, I'm going to highlight them. I'm going to go to Home, Font, Alignment. Oh no, Font. Alignment. I'm going to hit where it says Wrap Text. I'm going to click on that. And that will make that bigger. I'll make these a little bit bigger so they fit. Okay. And then I guess once you to put those in. Alright, so our class name, our classes are going to be 7 to 11, because that's going to be our, ooh, okay, see how it just did that date in there? So if we can either go, do one of two things. We can either go to number, click on that up here and have it go to text down here. Oh dear. And then try that again. 7 to 11. And then it's fine. Or you could also do what we do is we type in a little apostrophe and then 12 through 16, and that does the same thing. 17 to 21. What's next? Well, we know we just add 5 to each one, right? Because each class, we know to find the differences between class to class width, we take our lower limit, subtract it from our next lower limit. So we know that between classes there's 5, so next one should be 22 to 26, because if we add 5 to 21 we get that. And then 22 plus 5 is 27, to 26 plus 5 is 31. And last, 27 plus 5 is 32, and 31 plus 5 is 36. Great. Class upper limits. So those are just the upper limits that we found here. So that's 11, these last numbers here, 11, 16, 21, 26, 31, 36. Great, and then midpoints. So midpoints, you should be able to compute that. The way you do that is you take the upper limit and the lower limit and you find their average. You add them and you divide by 2. So I just go equals 7, because equals is how you start any formula. 7 plus 11. And here's the thing. If I just put divide by 2, what's it going to do first? It's going to divide, take it by order of operations, it's going to divide the 11 by 2 first, and get something weird like 7 plus 11 halves, which is like 12 and a half or something like that, right? So what I really want to do is I want to change that. So I'll go back to it, and if I go up here in my formula bar, I can edit that. So I'll just click on here, and I'm going to put parentheses around the 7 plus 11, because there are invisible parentheses around our numerator. So we want the 7 plus 11 first, that's kind of our numerator, and then we're going to divide by 2. So we'll do it like that, and then we should get, you know, exactly between 7 and 11 is 9. So that should give us 9. And it does. Terrific. And then the rest of them, we could just add our class width to each one. So what's the difference from one class to the next? We add 5, so the midpoint should follow the same thing. So I'll just do equals this one above plus 5. Enter. Oops. Not 54, just 5. And I think I can just drag this down. If you go in right here and get that little dark square, you can just drag that down, and that should just fill those in nicely. So that worked well. Frequencies. These ones you can just cut and paste from our frequency down here. So just go down here to these guys, they match up well. Left click, drag down, right click, copy. Click there, right click, and just paste it normal. That's good. And then relative frequencies. Okay, so relative frequencies, remember we talked about that last lab? When we did that last lab, it's how each frequency relates to the whole. So it means you need to know what the whole is. So maybe I go down here and I might hit sum and hit that little auto sum up here in the right corner and figure out how many we have there, hit enter, and that gives us 19. And then here, so this is, how does 2 relate to the whole? Well, that's equals 2 divided by, or actually it equals, and I need to click on what it is. Click on this one, divided by this guy right here, the bottom one. And I could just drag this down, but what happens, if I look at this, it's G4 minus G10. And if I drag this down, the problem is, what I get is I get all these errors. Because if you look at this one here, it's trying to divide, it jumps to the next one. It comes to G5 divided by G11, which is this guy down here. We don't want that. What we want to do is, if we go up here and we want the G10 to not change. So we want the G4, as you drag down, to go to G5, G6, G7, as we kind of drag down this way. But we want the G10 to stay solid and not change. So we want to say, hey, always grab G10, don't move that one. So that's why we add this $sign here before and after the G. And then hopefully, when we drag that down, it will magically be correct. And it is, so that's nice. That's how we find our relative frequencies. Now, it says make it pretty and pleasing to the eye. So relative frequencies, let's go ahead and do those to the nearest thousandth. You guys remember how to do that? Highlight everything you want here. And then on numbers, where are numbers? Home, general, oh here we are, numbers. Remember this kind of makes it more decimal places. This one makes it less decimal places. So click on that till we get down to just 3 decimal places. And that they're all really there. If we go back, we'll see them, but it just rounds it to the nearest one. So in this one here, this 4737 should round to 474. And it does. That's good. It just rounds it to the nearest thousandth. And let's make everything centered. I like everything centered. So highlight this whole section here. And let's just center that. So we go to this spot here, and this is like, you know, left aligned, right aligned, and center aligned. So let's center align it all. And then that looks all right. And over here, let's go ahead and do an auto sum on that too, just so we kind of sum up all these guys here. So go there, hit enter there, and that should be 1, because obviously all the relative frequencies, all the percentages should add up to 1. Good. So that's kind of the first part. And then you want to go ahead and copy this sheet 1 to sheet 2. So remember how we did that? We went over here to this corner up here and we clicked on it. First click on it, left click on it, and then right click on it and hit copy. And then go to sheet 2, click on that little corner spot up here again. So first you have to click on it, and then right click on it and hit paste. And that will put everything in there. So now you've made a copy. And you want to display the formula page on sheet 2. So here, remember how we did formulas? We go to formulas and you hit show formulas, and magically it'll show all the formulas. However, it makes everything super wide, which we don't want. So we're gonna make that one smaller, that one smaller. Oops. I'm just gonna drag all these columns so they're not as wide as they need to be. This one does not need to be that wide. This one, right, we can make that one a little bit less wide. You're wide enough so you can see the formulas, but that's about it. So that's good, and then maybe that will all fit on one page nicely. Now, then we also want to copy it to sheet 3. We haven't done any cut and pastes, so it should still be in our copy part. So we go to sheet 3 and we click on this upper spot here, right click on it and hit, oh, nope, didn't let us do that, so I guess we can't. Go back to sheet 1, right click on that, or sorry, left click on that, right click on it and copy. Go to sheet 3, right click on that, left click on that, sorry, left click on that, right click on it and hit paste. Okay. And then we have sheet 1 here. Great. Now we want to create a histogram. So from the Insert tab, up here the Insert tab, click on that and go to the Charts group, which is this section in here, Charts. And go to the first one, Column, click on Column and take the first one, first upper one there. And that's going to give you a little box here. Inside this box, right click and pick Select Data. And on the chart data range here, we want to pick our data. And that is data source. So yeah, that's these guys over here. So pick all them. That's good. Maybe not. Maybe you want to do just our frequencies. Oh yeah, we just want the frequencies. So yeah, don't do that, because we're gonna base it. We're gonna paste this off of our frequencies, which are down here. These guys. So data range, pick our frequencies, and we don't need to pick the more because the more we're not counting. And then for our chart data range, where's that? Oh, we did that. For the horizontal axis labels, okay, horizontal axis labels, that's over here. we don't want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So hit edit and grab our access range, which is these guys up here, our class names. So that we want, move that aside. We want to grab this part here and hit OK there. And then that might be it. Okay, hit OK. Perfect. And that comes in, so that's nice. So here you can see, here are our classes, here are our frequencies, and here this tells us how big the frequencies are. And I couldn't get this to work. Click on the plus button besides the chart. The plus button besides the chart. The plus button besides the chart. So if I click on that, that doesn't give me anything. Plus button besides the chart. So you may be able to do that. I can't, I don't get that. But what I can do is to add a chart title and vertical horizontal axis titles is I'll go here where it says layout, and you can see the chart title right there. I'll click on that, and it says above chart. That's what I want, above chart, and that gives me a chart title. I can either type it right in here under this kind of name, formula name thing, and what would I want to call it? I don't know. I title there, right? I can either do that, and I'll pop it in there, or I can click right in here, and I can type it right in there, and I would want to call it. I don't know, what do they call it? They call it herb height inches. Sure, sounds good. Great, then click out of there and you're fine. And then we want left titles and bottom titles. So if we go to axis titles, click on that. We want, you'll see the horizontal one. The horizontal one is the bottom one below the axis. And that comes in right down here. And again, you can either type it in right here on this bar, which I'd type in height. I would type in height inches. Enter. Or you could have just clicked on that and you could just type right into there and you can put stuff in there. And then I'm going to go to axis titles vertical, and I'm going to do it rotated like that. And I find it easiest to just type in here because I don't like typing sideways. It just confuses me. So I'll type in frequency there and hit enter, and that'll pop it right in here. You could type it in there, but then you gotta like kind of figure out where you are and then kind of look sideways and sort it out, so it's harder for me. Is that everything? Oh, and then we should delete this thing over here. Let's click on that. Just kind of left click until you get on that, and then you gotta kind of move this around until you get the little arrows going all directions, then you hit delete and that'll go away. Alright, so then let's go ahead and don't have gaps between the classes, so we need to eliminate those gaps because remember this is continuous data. Continuous data has no gaps. So you know, these spots in like right here is really 16.5, so everything that's below 16.5 will be over here, everything above 16.5 will be over here. So we're gonna eliminate the gaps since it is continuous. So go onto one of these bars and just right click on it, and then pick Format Data Series and make this gap here no gaps. Just drag that over and close it up. And see how kind of ugly that is? It's all like one big blocky mess, which I don't like. So I'm going to right click on there and I'm going to go to Format Data Series again. And I'm going to pick some of these pretty options like border color, solid line. I'm going to make it red or yellow. Yellow's good. Close. So then we have a yellow line around it. And then I'm also going to go to that again, Format Data Series. I'm going to go to Fill. And I'm going to make it Pattern Fill. I'm going to pick something I like. You can pick dots. It's kind of hard to see, or maybe diagonal lines like that, something like that. And then you'll get sort of a nice little pattern in here. Pick anything you like. but I kind of like, ooh, that yellow's kind of bright. I'm going to go with red instead. Format data series. Border color, red. Okay. And that looks good. Next, create a frequency polygon. Oh, let's move this somewhere where we can see it. So let's just kind of grab him and move him down over here, so he's not really blocked. Oops. Okay, so I just did this. I didn't want to do it. So remember our best friend, this undo button. Undo, and it goes back to where it's supposed to. Drag him down. And then, let's see, frequency polygon. So I'm going to click on, so go to insert again, click on the line one this time, and the first one. And now we're going to pick, we're going to do one with relative frequency. So here we're going to pick, we're going to right click inside here, go to select data, and in our data range we're going to grab these folks right there. Don't grab the 1.0, just grab, the data part, this part here. And then under horizontal axis categories, again, we don't want this 1 through 5 thing. We want to pick our midpoints. Right, so midpoints, if we're going to use frequency polygons, we're going to use midpoints. So we'll grab these folks right here. Because remember, frequency polygons use the midpoints of each class. And that's good. And hit OK there. So now, it's looking pretty good. We've got our little frequency polygon going. We want to eliminate that, so click on that, hit delete, make that go away. And then we want to enter in some titles and stuff like that. So again, go to Chart Tools Layout. If you get the little plus thing to work for you, then go ahead and do that. But I can't, so I'm going to go to Layout, Chart Title, above Chart, and I'm going to type in verb height inches, enter, oops, and I want to fix that, so I'm going to just click right on in there, delete that, put the right thing in, and we're good. And then over here I'm going to go to axis titles, horizontal, below axis, and I'm going to type in height inches, and oops, I lost my stuff. Oh, click on the data. If you can't find it, then click on the table. If you're not inside the table, this won't appear. So back to inside the table, layout, axis titles, vertical, and rotated. And I'm going to type in here, here it's different. We're typing in the relative frequency because we are doing a relative frequency chart for this, because we used our relative frequencies here for it. So instead of, remember those look exactly alike. The only difference is if you set aside and look at them, you'll see how they're really pretty much the same. I'll put this down here so we can see it. Oops. They both do that same sort of same spots. They go up, and they go up, and they go up a lot, back down a lot, down to 0, and then up. And if I just trace this onto here, it'd be the same. The difference is that these numbers here are different. Instead of going from 0 to 9, it goes from 0% to 50%. Otherwise, exactly the same in terms of where everything comes in. And I think that's it. All right. So I'm just going to leave that there so it's nice. And then you want to set up your workbook for printing. So remember how we did that printing stuff where we went to page layout and these sheet options aren't coming in, and it's because I'm clicked on the table still. So click on something that's not in the table and the sheet options will come in. Then hit print here, and headings there, we want those. So we see our grid lines, so we kind of know where you're at, and we can see our headings A through J and the numbers along here. And then we also want to go to page setup, so we'll click here to get our page setup. And we'll go to footer, header footer, and we want a custom footer. Remember, in the left section we want to put in a date, so find the date here. Where is that? Right there. And then here you're going to put in your name. And then over here in the right section you want the title of the Excel book, which I think is this one right here, the insert file name. So you click on that one there and hit OK. And hit OK there. Now I'm going to go to File, Print. Notice how this is only saying page 1 of 2, and that's because if we go to page 2, it is cutting off the rest of the chart, which, first of all, we want to print all pages. So we go here to where it says Print Active Sheets, and we change that to print the entire workbook. So now this should become 5 pages. First page being just our regular stuff. Second page is, that kind of went really poorly. If we change page orientation, what happens then? Let's try landscape and see what we get. Okay, we get 4 pages. That's a little bit better. So then we've got, oh, interesting. So we can change each one individually. So here's my first page up and down. My second page, we've changed that to be landscape, so that's great. And then our next one, let's see what happens if we change that. I don't think we can change that to landscape because I think it's still gonna cut things off. It won't be tall enough then. Yeah, see, that's gonna mess us up still. So what we should do probably is go back and change that to portrait. And then let's see if we can let's go back home and go to this page and see if we can scoot it over a little bit. Just kind of nudge that over as far as we can. Grab that one. So to move it, you move it around until you get this little black, with all the arrows in every direction. So that white arrow doesn't work, but if you get all the black arrows in every direction, you can left click down and you can scoot it over. Oops. No, wait. Okay, so this is going to scoot over the wrong stuff. It's going to scoot over the inside, which I don't want. So I'm going to go to my trusty undo and make sure that I am clicked on the whole chart. Move that over. Can I make it tinier? Maybe I just shrink it and make it tinier. So here you can kind of see how you get that left and right white arrow going back and forth. It really only happens around the middle. If you can see those little dots right there, those little 4 dots right there. If you get right on that, you can grab that and you can kind of make it a little bit skinnier. Maybe that'll help us. So I've got to kind of find this, click on the chart first, and then you can see the little dots, those little 4 gray dots there, and kind of grab that and make it a little bit skinnier. That helps a little bit. But still not enough. You can see that this little dotted line here gives you the page limitation, so I'm going to mess with it. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to make the herb height smaller, and the bin one, I'm going to make that column smaller, and still doesn't quite give me enough. And make this one smaller too. And I cut off frequency. I want to cut off my words, so maybe I'll make that, still leave that like that. Okay, so now we're really close, right? We're almost at that dotted line. So if I go to File, Print, and it shows, I don't want just the chart. So this, because I'm clicked on the herb chart, it's only showing the chart. So if I click on this and go to, oh, it won't let me. Darn. So we got to go back to home, click off the chart somewhere else. So we're not on the chart, we're just in some random cell. And then go back to File, Print, and Active Sheets. Great, we have them all. No, not Active Sheets, we want the entire workbook. There we go. And there's the first page. Second page, great, it remembers that we want landscape. And third page, it's still gonna like cut that little bit off and bump that part over to the 4th page, so we don't want that. So I'm finding that by toggling down here where it says 3 of 4, we can kind of go and make that. If we left click, it makes it 2 of 4. If we right click, click on that again, it makes it 1 of 4. So we're going to go back over to 3 of 4, and we're going to do something where we do. There should be like a fit to no scaling. We're going to scale it. We're going to click on that and say fit sheet on one page. Just the sheet, not the whole workbook, just the sheet. Now let's see what that does. Click on that. And then look how it just shifted that and made it smaller. That's perfect. So now it all fits on a 1. We have 3 of 3, and life is perfect. So go ahead and print that. I'm not going to print it because I don't need to. And then we're going to save it. So don't forget to save. And save it as whatever you want to save it as. Probably, we should save it first. So lab 2 before you print it, so the file name comes in correctly. And we really should have been saving along the way. So do that in the future so you don't end up losing data somewhere. Okay? Good luck.